Hi guys, welcome to this new video on Nextjs 13, and I'm going to be talking about an awesome package for state management in your applications, whether it's built in Nextjs or React. So this is called a Zustand, and I think this is one of the cool package because it requires us to write minimum code, even less than the context API code, to actually manage the states and share data between components. All right, so I have to create a new project as of for the stand. So first of all, let's create a new project in Nextjs 13. So I'll be writing the npx create next app at latest. All right, so it's going to ask me the name of my project first. So I'm going to write the stand next 13. For now, I'm not going to be using TypeScript for understanding the stands because I want to write the minimum code. So let's go with the ESLint. I don't want to write Tailwind CSS in this code. Let's go with the source directory, app router, and yeah, so it's creating a Nextjs 13 project. So let's go over here while it's creating a new project, and this is the code we only need to write. And the cool thing about the stand, I think, is that in context API or even in the advanced Redux, in the stand we don't need to actually wrap over context provider just like the context API and wrap over layout components or any parent component to share data between the components. We don't need to add the provider in any parent component. We just need to import this, call this create function, and add the variables, and that's it. And it will automatically configure the state management and how we can actually use this data in different components. We just need to call this line of code in order to get the data. This is so awesome and cool. But this example is non-practical, just increment decrement. I want to show you some practical application called the CRUD app. So this is the CRUD app that I will be creating in this video using the Zustand state management. So all the data for the posts, edit, deleting will be done through the stand store, and this too is showing the number of the post which is coming from another component, and these list of posts is being shown from another component. So this is to actually show you how we can actually share the data between multiple components. And the same example I showed you while creating the integration of Nextjs 13 with the context API as well as the Redux. If you want to learn that, check out my playlist on the Nextjs 13. I have given the link of that in the description below. So it's still creating the Nextjs 13 project. So let's wait for it. So our Nextjs 13 project is created. Let's install Zustand. So in the terminal, I'm going to write npm install Zustand. So our Zustand is installed. So here, first of all, I'm going to go in the source directory and I'm going to create few folder. So let's try to create a one folder in the source directory, and I'm going to name it store. And inside it, I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to write the posts.js. So inside it, I will be importing that. So create is a function from Zustand and it will be from Zustand. All right. And next thing we only need to do is the export const use posts store equals to create set and then the arrow function. And inside it, first of all, we need to create an initial state just like we do it in the Redux or the context API. We will be giving it an array. So I'll be writing an ID 1, and our variable have been created in the form of an array. And now let's try to create one function to actually add a new post inside this array. Okay, so I'm going to create a second, it's actually a property. So I'll be writing comma over here and I can name my function add post, and it will take a data for the new post. And this is just a JavaScript, but I will need to write the set function of the create function of the stand, and inside it I can receive the state, the initial state which I have initialized above. Okay, and then what I can do is I can use the return statement and then the posts and then array dot dot dot, which is the spread operator, in JavaScript state.post and then the new post. Actually, we need to wrap it in parentheses, and also I need to write one parenthesis over here as well. So the error is gone and we have this variable for the initial state and we have this one function for adding a new post. So let's try to get the post which we have defined over here in our component first. Then I'll be writing a code, mainly the JSX, to add a new post. And then I'm gonna go in the app directory. Actually, what I need to do is the default component in Next.js 13s are by default the server components, but I need to add a click events on the button, edit and delete. So it require client side component. So I'll be creating a new folder and I'm going to name it components. And inside it, I'm going to create a folder and I'm going to name posts. Let's create few file. So posts.jsx, and let's also create a CSS file. So posts.module.css. So here I will be writing the RAFCE for the initial setup. So this is the posts. Let's save it. And I'm not teaching any CSS in this video. I assume that you already know about the CSS. So I'll be just be copy pasting some CSS in this file. All right. So if you want to copy that, you can just pause the video like this and you can add all of these CSS in your file. Okay. So let's close it. Now in this posts file, let's try to add its reference in our main page.js file, which is added by default, which is on the home route. Okay. So now I'm gonna go in the main folder, main element, and I'm going to remove everything what is written. So inside it, I can actually get that posts. So posts, which is from that components folder. So first of all, I will be writing the use post store from the at store posts, which is from this path. Okay, because I'm exporting here and it will be used here. And inside this component, I only need to write one line of code. So I can write the const and I can write posts. Let's try to get the data first, and I can write the use post store. All right. So rather than actually adding this post, I can directly write the posts. So now let's try to run our project and see if our post gets visible in this component or not. You can see that in Zustand, I have not added this particular variable and wrap our this function around any layout file. I've not done that, and we have to do it in other packages like the context API or the Redux is like require a lot of configuration. All right, so let's go ahead on our browser and try to load up localhost 3000, and I hope there won't be any error. There seems an error. So node modules saying, so let's go ahead and I'm going to write the use client at the top. Okay, and refresh, full reload. Let's try to save this file multiple times because sometimes it does not compile successfully. Here, if I refresh it, there still seems an error. If you mean to render the collection, use an array instead. Actually, it's showing that I cannot actually output it directly over here. Let's quickly add a loop. So I'm going to use it over here. Let's try to write this parentheses, and inside it, I'm going to create a div tag. And inside the div, I'm going to create, first of all, I'm going to check if the posts exist, and then I can write the posts dot map and then the post, and I need to add two parentheses over here. So the error is gone. Now let's go to our browser and see if our posts are visible from that state function or not. All right, so we can see that post 1 and post 2, which is coming from our post.js file, which is from the Zustand store, and these two properties, basically the post 1 and the post 2, are showing in our browser, and this is the minimum code that we need to write to actually use the Zustand. And you can see that here we have only used this line, and if we need to fetch another function, we can write over here, and its name is add post. All right, so now let's go and integrate the add post, edit post, and the delete post functionality using Zustand. So let's first style it a bit. So I'm not teaching HTML here or JSX, so I'm just going to copy few h1 tags and h3 tags over here in order to make this post 1, post 2, and the description of the post look nicer. So I'm going to just copy paste few of the JSX, which you can pause the video and add over here. So I'm going to remove this whole h1, and let's add the parentheses, hit enter, and I'm going to paste this code over here. All right, let's try to remove on click event for now for editing and deleting, and let's save it, and it should look nicer. The styles is not because we have not imported it above. Let's try to import that CSS file that we have created. So import styles post.module.css. All right, let's try to save it, and error is gone. Now you can see that it looks nicer. The post description and the title are visible with edit and delete button. We have to actually add our form at the top of it to actually create a new post. So I'm going to add a form at the top of this posts, but above that I'm going to add one h1 to actually show the title that these are the posts. So I'm going to name it styles dot heading, and let's name it posts. Okay, and above this h1 I'm going to create a form, and first of all I will be giving it a class name, and let's try to add styles dot form, and also give it the class name to the main div. So I'm going to give it the class name and then the styles dot container. All right, let's see how it's look like. Let's refresh it, looking nice. Let's go ahead, and for this I'm going to copy paste few of the JSX which I've already written, and inside this form I'm going to copy paste this code over here. All right, since there are no functions like this, so for now I'm just going to comment out these lines. Okay, and there are few variables that we also need to create at the top, which I'm going to create. So here below this line I'm going to copy paste few of these codes. Also we need to add use state. There is an error. I need to add the function for the handle add post. So I'll be creating a function below here. So I'm going to write the handle add post like this. For now it will not do anything. So the error is gone, and you can see this is form visible, title, description, and add button. Now let's go and write our logic within this handle add post function. First of all I will write e.prevent default, and then these are the variables that are binded with our JSX input, and the text area, you can see this is the title and this is the description, and I will uncomment this because this function is going to update the state variables. All right, so after this e.prevent default, I will first check if the title and the description does not exist, then I will simply return. Okay, this is just for validation. Now I will create a new object for the title, description, and an ID. So inside it, let's name it new post ID, and I can generate an ID using date.now, title, and the description. And after this we can call the function which we have created in our Zustand store. So add post and pass this data to that function. And if we want to empty our text boxes for title and description, we can just write the set title and then empty. and also for the description. So set description empty. So let's save it now, and let's go and refresh. Let me zoom in a bit, and if I try to add a new post, and now you can see that this new post is added over here, and it is automatically fetched whenever this store variable in the post.js gets updated. Because of this logic that we have written, it automatically gets updated in our JSX because we are using the post.map function, and this is how our JSX is loading up. All right, so now first of all, let's go ahead and add few more functions for edit a new post and deleting a new post. So inside it, I'm going to write a logic for editing a new post. So edit post colon id updated post. Okay, and then I'm going to write the set function. I can fetch the state and arrow variable, and then I can write the const updated posts equals to state dot posts dot map, and then this function, and inside it I can check if the post dot id equals to the id. Then I'm going to return post and then updated post. All right, and if it is not found, I can simply return that post as it is. Okay, and finally within this set function I can return the updated posts. So posts and then the updated posts. This is the variable that we have generated. I hope that I have written a correct logic. Now let's go ahead in our posts and try to see if our edit functionality is working fine. So first of all, I need to import that edit post from that file. So this is the edit post. So I have imported that. So inside it, first of all, I need to add an on click event in my buttons. So I'll start off by writing the on click here, and then the arrow function, and then I will be naming that function edit a post, and I will be passing the post.id, and this is the ID of the post which I want to update. Okay, and this function is not going to really update, but the purpose of this function would be whenever we will click on this edit button over here, it will populate the title and the description of this particular post in these text boxes at the top, and the text of this button will be automatically changed to edit post because I've already added its logic over here is added, and its text of button is going to get changed. Okay, so let's create a function edit a post at the top below this handle add post function, and I'm going to write const edit a post and e and this. So this function, I'm going to populate this title, description, and I also need to set the ID of a post which I want to update. All right, so let's go and write some logic inside it. So first of all, I need to fetch a particular post which needs to be updated using an ID. That is, it is not an E, I will be using an ID. So I'll write const post equals to posts dot filter, and then post arrow function post.id equals to id, and it's going to return us an array of post even though if it is one object inside it. So I can fetch the first object by writing 0 after that. Okay, so this variable is going to take the post which we can update. So then we can actually set the title to the post dot title, and then we can set the description to the post dot description. Then we can add set the post ID to the post dot, it should be an ID which is passing over here. and then we will be set is added, and this function is managing the text on a button whether we need to show add a post or edit post. So we need to give it a true because it's a boolean, and yes, it's by default false and it will be a boolean. So let's try to save it and see if our logic works fine. So let's try to click on edit. There is an error, handle edit post is not defined. So let's go and check, and this particular line is not defined actually. So let's try to add this function as well for the reference. So I'm going to write handle edit post e. I'm not going to write anything inside it, it's just that we need to resolve the error. So if I refresh, and now if I click on the edit, yes, it's working fine. The title and the description have been updated over here, and also the text of the button is changed as well to the edit post. All right, now we need to write a logic. When we click on this edit post, this data should be passed to that function which we have written over here, and update the state of this Zustand store. Okay, so let's go, and inside this function I'm going to write some logic. First of all, e.prevent default, which we need to write, and after that I'm going to copy this code from the top, handle add post, right? And this should not be the date.now, this should be the id which is being stored over here. So now you see the purpose of setting up an id in a state. So rather than passing the date.now, I'm going to write the post id, which is the state variable, and then title and the description. And after that we can edit post. This is the function of the Zustand store, and inside it, first of all, I need to pass the id and then the updated post. So the id I can get from this new post. Let's change its name to avoid any confusion. Updated post, and then edit post, updated post dot id, and then updated post, like this. Okay, rather than writing updated post that id, we could directly write this post id over here as well. And after that, let's try to copy this empty over text boxes, and also set is added to false as well, because once it is added, I want to change the text of the button. Let's try to save it, and in this function I hope that it will work fine. Let's go ahead, let's refresh, and let's try to change the description of the post one. Click on the edit, it has been updated, so I'm going to change the description. Let's also try to change the title as well. So let's click on edit, and yes, it's working fine. And this is the state variable inside over the stand. This is the store, and this array has been updated. So our edit functionality is working fine, and our store is working fine as well, and it's automatically getting updated. Okay, so now let's quickly add a delete function as well, but before that, let's try to add its logic over here. And I'll be writing some logic, so I'm going to name it delete post colon and then the id. It only require an id that which post we want to delete. So let's try to copy this whole logic, and before returning, I will be getting an updated post, and then equals to state dot posts dot filter, and then the post dot id is not equals to the id which is being passed to this function. And after that, I can return the updated posts. So updated posts, right? So this is the logic. Make sure you don't make any mistake while writing this logic. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to add an on click function just like this over here. So I'm just going to copy it, let's paste it, and I'm going to change its name to the delete post. So I'm going to name it handle remove post. Okay, and after this I'm passing the post.id. Let's try to create this function at the top. So const handle remove post and this, and in order to delete a particular post, let's try to fetch that as well. So I'm going to write the delete post. Okay, and let's come over here and I'm just going to pass that delete post and then the id which I'm receiving over here. Let's try to fetch that id over here, post.id, and then the post dot post id. Okay, so that's pretty much it we need to do. I hope that it will work fine. Let's try to refresh. Let's add a new post over here. It has been added. Let's try to delete post 2 and the post description. So I'll click on it and it has been deleted, so our state is updated. The purpose of this video is to actually show you how does the stand work, but the documentation of the stand does not show to write this complex logic in our store. Okay, and this is so cool. Now one thing I want to show you, that just like this I have this post and I have used these lines of code to actually share the state between multiple components. Currently I only have one component. I'm quickly going to create another component and I'm going to output this data posts dynamically, and whenever I'll adding and deleting a post, I just want to see that the state is getting updated automatically in multiple components or not. So I'm going to create a new component. So I'm going to name it posts count, and inside it I'm just going to create a new file. So I can name it posts count.jsx. Okay, so let's try to add rafce and inside it let's try to import this line and also import this line. Okay, and I don't need these functions. I just want to see if the posts are updated. So I will not be printing the post, I will only be printing the length function to see if the updated posts variable also shares the number of posts or not. Okay, so then in order to see its length, I can go to the page and I can write the posts count. It's not detecting. So let's try to fetch the posts count here. So I can write posts count and it should be coming from posts count and then the posts count. All right, so let's try to save it now. It should be, it's asking to make this component a client component, so I'm going to change it to use client. Okay, so let's go, and now you can see that it's showing 2. It means that the post data is being shared in multiple components automatically. Now let's try to make some changes if it gets updated or not. If it's updated, it means that we can use the stand in our future projects and we can share data between multiple components. So I'm going to write a new post, and yes, this data is being shared in multiple components. If I try to delete it, delete, and then the delete, and this is looking awesome. So this is pretty much it for this video. Don't forget to subscribe my channel to get updates for upcoming videos and hit the bell icon as well. Comment below if you have any question. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you in the next video.